Topo Athletic is committed to lifelong health and better movement. Topo builds running shoes for those who get out there every day regardless of weather, speed, energy, or mood. Their distinctive fit and feel combines instinctive human movement with modern performance and lightweight comfort to help you keep going, keep trying, and keep moving. Discover the Topo difference and step into a run experience unlike any other.
Yeah, oh, way better than
back in business.
Oh, there we go. We were just talking about how we had that issue with one of our guests a couple of weeks ago, and they couldn't get on for 10 minutes, and it was like a whole, like, just, we just have fun with it at this point, you know, because it's like, stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, you got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, that's how it is, and you know how that goes. So how's it going, Hector?
Going good. It's going good. I'm stoked to be back on and chatting with you both, and look forward to catching up with you guys.
Yeah, and look, we got a shout out from David Cobos, Northwest Park, saying Wolfpack.
Love the Wolfpack, man. It's the best.
Yeah, I have so many fond memories of the Wolfpack and just all the principles that were taught to me about just like life. And we all have a connection, the three of us. But, you know, before we dive into that, I just wanted to, there's Jeremy right there. Shout out to Jeremy. He just took a big shot, a big punch at the Oregon PCT, and I was really
straight
proud.
to the cave, baby.
He went straight to the cave. That was gnarly.
Yeah, love that.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to let everybody know that Hector was one of the first people to write a story for the business, and there's a connection there. But before we dive into that, I just wanted to let you kind of reintroduce yourself and just let everybody know who Hector Rodriguez is.
Hector Rodriguez, from San Diego. I've been spending time in Vegas lately, so it's kind of become a second home. 4 or 5 years ago, I picked up the Goggins book. Really, like, just dove deep into kind of a lot of the mentality, and then, you know, took that and applied it to my life and doing a lot of hard things and train for life, and a lot of the things he's talked about had a really heavy influence, and I went really hardcore in the ultra space, and in doing so I met an unbelievable community. I achieved and accomplished a lot of things I could never in a million years thought I would do, you know, like finish a 200-miler, for example. So really saw what happens when you push yourself and you do those types of things. And now working on getting healthier, and have applied pretty much the same obsessiveness and wildness in the mentality into business. So been enjoying that journey, and been going really hardcore, like super hardcore in the same way that I would do my 10 miles a day. So yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about me.
Yeah.
I'm going to real quick, Aum, before you jump in. So I've been looking away, if people who are paying attention to my face, to look up when the story we posted for Hector was. It was March 3rd of 2021. So almost a half years ago was when your How It All Started appeared on our website, and it was called What's My Next Challenge?
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then I saw mine. I think I put mine out in April. It started with a 1/4 mile, and it was the one, imagine it being the one right next to Hector. So I see this guy who's saying, what's my next challenge? He's also read Can't Hurt Me. He's going after the Triple Crown of 200s at the time. And I reach out to you, I think it was a week before my first 100-mile race, to ask for tips. And, you know, you immediately follow me back, and we just start chatting. And then I think you showed up to like my 24-hour race.
Yep.
And then I remember just being like, hey, like, I don't know if this guy will give me a shot, but maybe I could crew this guy for crew and pace this guy for Bigfoot 200 and Moab 240. And you were like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, that's what I love about the sport and the community. Literally, like, all of that, you know, like, I show up, you know, I show some love and support to you and a few others that were at the race before I was heading to Big Bear. Then, you know, you in return, you know, you didn't know me that well personally, and yet you were willing to come and help me at Bigfoot and take, you know, 4 or 5 days away from your life to come and suffer with me in those mountains and listen to me whine and complain. And so, you know, like it's countless stories like that with a lot of people that that I just love in the community for those type of acts. Like you don't see that in other areas of life where people will like drop everything and come help you achieve a goal. And I think that is super rad. And I think that's something I'm really proud about with the Wolfpack, that we show up, you know, like this, not this weekend, here in a couple weekends. I was reading Justin True, who's a mutual friend of ours, his stories, and he made a comment that, hey, the Denny Stones challenge is something that I've been training for 3 years. It's like a really big deal to me. And I know it's a big deal, but I didn't know it was that big of a deal. And so as soon as like I hear like how passionate he was, and it's like, okay, I hit him up and I'm like, I gotta come. I'm gonna come support you. And I know he would do the same. So and he has done the same. So it's like that kind of camaraderie I love, and it keeps me in, you know, highly engaged in the community because I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. You know, when you were talking about the Wolfpack and just that community, and you got the tumbler right there for the Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Tell people a little bit about what the Wolfpack is and just the values that it represents.
I think I'll start maybe with like how it came about, and it was literally the pandemic. Right when it started, everything's getting shut down. Everybody was scared, like, what is this thing? Gyms were getting closed. And so it was just like a super gnarly time. I don't think the world had ever expected anything like that. And with having people be locked in, gyms closed, even in San Diego, the beaches got closed at one point, trails were closed. So this group was like, okay, everything's getting closed, but you know what? We're going to still get after it. And so we had a really fun time making the best of like a horrible situation of being like locked in like that, to where we did push-up challenges, we did plank challenges, we did all kinds of things, run 5 miles, and then we would post it on the stories and then circulate it and like just have a fun time, people trying to stay active and getting after it. And I honestly don't remember where Wolfpack came out, but at some point Wolfpack and then the hashtag of all of these like gnarly fun challenges, people were doing like headstand push-ups and, you know, just doing the best we could to support each other and keep it active, showing love, and just that camaraderie that I talked about. And it started there, and then it just kind of grown and scaled with people.
Did we lose Hector's audio?
I think we might have lost your audio, Hector. There.
All that stuff. So it to me, like, I think that's a beautiful, you know, 3 things: test limits, give back, support one another. And I'm really proud to be a part of that and see others do it like yourself.
We definitely the last point of that, which is the most important part, which is like giving back, you know, for the kids, for the community. But out there a little bit for like 20 or 10 seconds about just like the Wolfpack, what it was. But you know, I will say that one of the cool things about the Wolfpack, to the point you were making about like people doing these challenges in the pandemic, was when 2021 came around. It was really cool to like go around to these events and like you're calling out these people that you've seen like on Instagram, and you're calling out people by like, you know, their handles. Like I met Jeremy at Bigfoot 200 and I'm like, 2911, is that you? He's like, Jeremy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that you?
Yeah. I probably know a lot more people through Instagram handles than I do real names. That's funny. It's true though.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna have to change my Instagram handle then so that it's easier to pronounce.
Yeah.
I couldn't get the 4 of yours right. I kept saying cook, train, like a cook, eat, train, race, cook, race, eat, train.
Dude, I've heard it all. Most of the times it usually ends up with eat rice, which makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, being Puerto Rican, rice is a meal. You know, it's a staple in just about every meal, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But you know, speaking of food, before we pivot into the next part, like the questions I want to ask you and like kind of the journey you were talking about that you're on now, we do have a icebreaker question that we used to throw into food fight or like into like the rapid fire food fight's a new segment, but this will determine whether Jason continues the interview or I continue the interview. 'Cause it's like a really huge question in our community. But
Okay.
all right,
What's
pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
nay?
Oh,
Sorry, Aum.
So real quick though, I mean, I could talk about food all day long.
Yeah.
Pizza style. Are you New York City Neapolitan, Chicago, or Detroit?
I would say so. Vegas. I've been in Vegas lately. I think they have more than anything New York style, and I would probably favor that.
All right, thank you, because I'm a New York.
I'm glad I got that right.
Yeah, so like people are always like Chicago style, and I'm like, look, if I wanted tomato soup in a bread bowl, I would order tomato soup in a bread bowl, not Chicago style pizza, right?
Yeah.
And I just saw this on Threads, and I cannot stop laughing about it, so I'm glad this came up. Somebody described Chicago style pizza as lasagna without noodles, and I cannot.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's amazing.
oh my goodness, that it's actually not a inaccurate description, to be honest.
Perfect.
Man, but yeah, you know, now that we have the answer for that, and we know,
Yeah.
um, the next question I had was, you know, one of the things you were talking about is how you described it in, you know, one of your videos that you put out of like, I think you said something like the ultra running gods are mad at me or
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
That's true. The trail gods.
the trail gods, yeah, which is another one of the cool things I like about you is like you take all these things in stride, even though they're tough, and you gotta have a good sense of humor with it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah, just talk about your recent injury and just what that process has been like. I'm sure it's been like a tough road, you know, getting back.
Yeah, and I'm still not back. So you were actually there. I think it was December. Yeah, it was. It was December 2021.
The Wolfpack 24 hour.
Yeah, we did it. So my buddy Justin was in town. He had spent like a month with me here in San Diego, a lot of training, like just having a great time. Then before he left, you know, a lot of people would normally have like a going away party, go drink some beers, whatever. And our going away party was like, let's go knock out a 24 hours and see how many miles we can crush. And so that was like our Wolfpack going away party. And this was coming right after the Triple Crown, which is obviously like gnarly terrain and gnarly miles, to where I was like, okay, this course that I chose for us, it's a 3-mile loop around a park, flat, so it was going to be easier. And I was like, okay, I got the course, we'll go out. And we had some buddies like Aum come out and support. And I don't know if it was like mile like 70 or 80 or something. I just like I blew my legs out so bad. And I don't remember exactly how far I went. Maybe I went like 80 something miles, something around that mark. But I called it, I think, a little early, and my legs were just the most tore up, most blown out. Like I couldn't believe how much in pain I was. And then I couldn't believe how long it was taking to recover after that, because after the Triple Crown, each event, I was recovering pretty quickly. So then that was December. At the time, I was being coached by Mike McKnight, and I was like, you know, after 2-3 weeks, I told him, and he's like, yo, for it to be this long, you know, something's not right. You probably need to go get it checked. And I was like, yeah, you know, like I kind of like blew him off, because any other time before that, if I had an injury or an issue, I just ran through it, and I found myself like healing faster by just staying active. And so that January I did a 50K, and after like mile 10, I had to walk the rest, and I almost DNF'd because of my feet were in so much pain. And then I did like a 70.3 triathlon. I think I went out and did the 24-hour, which I think you were at home.
Jackpot, yeah.
The jackpot. And so long story short, I wasn't backing off, even though I was having a lot of foot pain. Then I went to Coco 2 years ago and failed because of it. And then I told myself, okay, I'm going to knock it off and get my feet healed. And then that didn't last too long, because in September came around, and then I went for a 350-mile attempt and dealt with the foot pain there and got 306 miles. Then I told myself after that I'm going to properly heal, and then I didn't. And then I kept like doing my 10 miles a day, and I kept training. I backed off on like signing up for events, and I think I didn't do any events. And then, you know, maybe like April, I think I signed up for a half marathon with a buddy. And then in my head, I was like, okay, well, I did the Montana. I've kind of backed off from like any major events. The Montana is the 300-miler I just mentioned. And I was like, I got through that. I had to like swap my shoes around, but like I was able to do it. So I think I could at least get through Cocodona. And then again, like just so much foot pain and everything. And it just I've never like probably done the right things to heal, because I've been like impatient and like looking for like Band-Aids, like switching my shoes or different insoles or whatever. So, and so now I'm like a year and a half of dealing with this constant foot pain, that after Cocodona, then I finally went to go actually see like a real doctor, and been doing physical therapy and listening. So like in 8 weeks, I didn't run 1 mile to their advice. And so now it's like slowly getting better. And so I make like the trail gods joke, because I feel like if I would have been a lot more patient, and, you know, maybe initially took Mike McKnight's advice and like backed off and got treatment, that I would have probably been a lot more healed. But I'm a very stubborn person, and I thought, you know, I know better and I could figure it out. And so that's where I kind of make the joke that, you know, the trail gods are teaching me a lesson to, you know, listen to my body, you know, heal when I need to heal, things like that.
Have you taken the mindset that you have with, I'm going to go do 10 miles a day, which takes a lot of mental willpower to go and do that, into PT now, where PT is now your 10 miles a day? Like, I'm going to go after this as hard as I did the 10 miles per day idea?
I don't look at it the same, but what I could say is that so I went to a doctor here in Vegas, and the doctor says, I deal with a lot of NFL players. And he goes, and if you were one of them and I was like the staff, I would immediately tell you rest and nothing else until you're healed. So he's like, that's what I want to tell you to do. So I would say in my head that like I've been 100% to where I went like literally 8 weeks without running 1 mile. And I just did other things, like I cycled. I've been boxing a lot more. What else? Strength training. So I've been doing other things, and I've stayed committed to not running 1 mile. And so what is it? Maybe like a week ago, they said, okay, now run 1 mile every other day. Then they just told me now I can do 2 to 3 miles every other day. And they want to like ramp me back up like that. So I've been on it to listening, which I think is the trail god lesson to me.
Yeah, it's like the discipline is to follow that as you were to do 10 miles a day. Because it takes a lot of discipline to be like, okay, you know, even at 9-minute miles, right? That's an hour and a half. So now you're trying to find an hour and a half in your day when you're doing 10 miles a day, to now you got to have that same discipline to only run the 1 mile and now run 2 to 3 miles. Like, it takes a lot of discipline.
It's in my stomach, like in the back of my mind. This is how sick I am, that like every day is passing and I'm like okay with it, but it lives in my head that soon as they allow me to go for like my hour to 2 hours a day, that I need to catch up. and so that is probably why the trail gods haven't healed me, because they know as soon as they like let me loose that that I'm not going to let my 10 miles a day average for a year lose that. So yeah, so like as soon as they let me loose and they're like, you're good to go, like I'm gonna, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like I feel like if I say I'm gonna catch up, then maybe the trail gods are gonna keep me on punishment longer.
Man, so like with this injury, you still have that mentality in your stomach of like the 10 miles a day.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you talked about and preached about that we talked about in the green room is just like how you take these skills, kind of like the Goggins mindset of like doing hard things to make life easier, and just dealing with adversity in life. So talk a little bit about how you've taken a step away from the ultra endurance world and applied these skills and your discipline to real life and the things that you're doing in life with business and real estate.
Yeah, I think what I've realized, and I'll give a shout out to my buddy Zach, who runs an account called Behavior Hack. He's like all over owning the word obsession.
Oh yeah, we love Zach.
He would be also somebody who back in the original OG days of Wolfpack, he was also way smaller in his notoriety, and he was like a friend that we supported each other way back then. And I love seeing the growth he's having. So he's got like this whole obsession mindset, and kind of seeing the things he's talking about, I've realized that's what I've like naturally adopted, to where like I'm obsessed to get the 10 miles a day. And it went since 2018 or 2019, I've been doing that, every single year. And so I built that in my head to where I'm telling you guys right now, it's like I'm almost sick in the head, because in the back of my mind, even though I'm injured, every day I'm thinking about how I'm going to catch back up before the year ends. So I have found that is something that like is a secret sauce, is being able to tap into an obsession like that with the discipline. So in business, one of the benefits of me backing off in my with what's going on with my feet, and even in like Montana, it started kind of creeping in my head where I was like, okay, I've just done 300 miles. Like, what's next? Like, what do I want to fire me up? Because it's like you can't go 400 and 500 and 6, like you can, but at some point it's like when is enough? So I was like, okay,
what's my next challenge?
Yeah, like what's my next challenge? And I was like, okay, I've accomplished a lot here. Now, have I really put like all of my same discipline and effort into business? And so I went all in. And so I started thinking about that in September. And I would say since January, I was like, okay, I'm going all in on real estate. I've always had a passion, always loved it, and have been investing since probably, 2015, and have bought already 4 houses this year, one in Nevada and 3 in Florida. And then, and in parallel, so I've bought in houses, some to flip, some to do Airbnb, some are traditional rental. So I think just those 3 different elements, and have been going all in on finding deals, negotiating deals, selling the house, finding a Wolfpack, but on the business side, finding my handyman, finding my cabinet guys, finding my painters, finding my real estate agent to sell it, finding the junk haul removal, and really start building a team, a network. And so now I'm gotten to the point where the same way I have a tribe, a team, a crew with me on the trails, I have this crew that's like got my back and is like sending me all of these like real estate deals, or like I just had a buddy who offered, who I just took over to start Airbnb their place. And so now we're doing like property managing for others, plus what I have on my side, and then plus the 4 houses that I bought this year. So I guess where I'm going at is like I didn't just jump in and just go, okay, I'm gonna buy 1 house and I'm gonna wait a few years or two. Like I literally went all the way in, even in like an insane market with the inflation and the high interest rates and people scared, and just said fuck it, F it, and went, okay, just said fuck it, like I'm gonna do what I did with my 10 miles and I'm gonna go all in. Like, and I believe I'll be very well off or dead broke. Like there's no in between, and like I kind of love it playing in that way. Same way with the 200 miler. Like I'm either gonna be successful or I'm gonna be trash, but either way it's gonna be an exciting ride. So that's kind of where it's like it's given me that like okay and that confidence that like I might fail, like I might fail the 200 miler, but we're gonna have a blast on the journey and we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna be with a community and a team and we're gonna grow a business. Like let's go. And so I'm having a lot of fun with that.
You hit the nail on the head. I think, Hector, like I just posted this morning on my LinkedIn account, what if, right? We always ask that question, what if? And the vast majority of us answered that question with a negative. What if I fail? What if I'm not successful? But what if we answer that question in the positive way, right? In other words, what if I fail? What? And that's kind of the mentality that you're taking to the 200 milers, to any sort of running, physical fitness perspective, but obviously into business as well. Because what if you actually succeed, right? And I don't think people really process that. They're more risk averse than risk takers. And you don't have to be the kind of person that takes uneducated risk, right? Or uncalculated risk. You can take a calculated risk and still answer that question with, what if I succeed and go forward? So I love the mentality. And I'm going to turn this over to you in a second, but I wrote down 3 things as you were talking. 1, going alone. You're not doing that in trail running and you're not doing that in business. Having a team of people around you allows you to figure out best ways to move forward.
Yeah.
2, you haven't tied your identity to one thing, which I love. Like I read this post the other day that said, don't tie your identity to one thing. Don't be the paleo diet guy. Because what happens if you decide that you want to eat vegan? Now, all of a sudden, you can't go vegan because you've been yelling to the clouds about being the paleo diet guy. So I appreciate you not doing that as well. Like I'm only an ultra runner. I can't get into business, right?
Yeah.
And the last thing I wrote is your lessons are transferable between the two.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that insight because I think it's really important for our followers and the readers of our stuff to understand that you can do many things. You don't just have to be the triathlon athlete. You don't have to just be the ultra runner. You can go run a 5K and a 250 miler if you want, as long as you're having fun doing it.
Yeah, I got 3 things that, as you're talking, that came in my mind. One is the, like, what if I fail? Me and Justin, after my Cocodona 250 DNF, we're sitting down and I'm like, like, I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but let's just say he was like, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? And I'm like, man, I'm stoked. Why are you stoked, Hector? Well, now my failures are 146, 147 miles long. Like, to some, the 100 miles is like they're successful. And now my failures are 146 miles. Like, yeah, do I want to get the buckle, the 250 buckle? Of course. But I've gotten myself to the point to where at least now 146 miles I fail. So that's kind of cool also. So I have that perspective. The other would be like on the business side, I have a house that I bought in Tampa. The rehab is going a lot slower than I wanted. Okay. What did that mean? So then when I got the house secured in Vegas, I took every lesson that I learned from that Tampa, where we relied heavily on like one set of group. So I was like, okay, boom, got the Vegas keys. In parallel, I got handyman here doing X, I got the landscaper doing Y, I got the cabinet guy, and I got the carpet team. And I was like managing it to the T. And we finished that project faster and cheaper with the highest quality of anything. So the reason I say that is because, like, even if there's bumps in the road and it's risky, you learn from it, and then you iterate, and then you make it better. And then there was the third thing that I wanted to think of, but I don't remember what that was. But so yeah, so I'm aligned with you there. Oh, the third thing was, I agree that like people will put themselves in certain buckets or the identity thing. And one thing that like I've been conscientious of is I will see a lot of like people in the trail community who are great in the trail community, but they maybe don't strive the same way in business, and vice versa. I'll see people all around me, I work for one of the top companies in the world, and so I'm around a lot of brilliant people, and I would say 99% of them think I'm absolutely nuts and would never even do like a half marathon trail race. So I bring that up because I do believe that the people that are out there in the triathlon community, the ultra endurance, the trail running, the running, all of them, deep, like if I was Amazon, Facebook, Google, and somebody came to me and their resume was ultra endurance athlete, I've accomplished X, Y, Z, my discipline to my training is A, B, C, my work ethic is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely, that's why I love Jesse Itzler with the Build Your Life resume. I don't know if you guys, pay attention to that whole thing that he has, but that's how I would be as CEO. Like you as the ultra endurance athlete have so many skills that you might not even realize that I would take your work ethic over so many people in some of these big corporate companies all day long. And so I hope that by sharing some of my business stuff that they get encouraged to go, let me apply the same effort, hustle, grind that I do on achieving X goal in endurance sports to crushing it in business, because there's no doubt in my mind that skill set, that drive that I see in the community would absolutely destroy it in business. So I hope that I can do my small part to encourage people to take those skills and apply it over there in business.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you said about like, I love the way you put it with Coachella too. Like my failures are 146 miles long. Like that is probably something I'd probably need to hear after my Moab DNF. Like my failure is 235 long.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Homeboy, you did hear it. You just didn't listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I told you that.
True.
I told you that. Like, be proud of yourself. You now have run 130 miles.
We still want the 240 and I still want the 250, but we don't not be proud that we are still doing something 99.95% of people would not fathom nor try.
Correct.
Yeah. And, that stuff just applies to every aspect of like life. Like I think, when Jason, you asked me a year ago, I think it was back in June, you asked me to be an owner in the business. And my first reaction was like, it was the negative what if. It was like, what if I fail? Am I capable of this? And then I thought about all the things that I've done in ultras, and I'd gone to Peru, and I was reflecting the whole time out in the rainforest about like, I DNF'd that thing, but it was like a DNF in the Peruvian rainforest, And then I came back and I was like, man, I could do this. I could take a shot at this. And I don't think it's ever the way we just talked about it right now. I don't think people are able to really encapsulate that into words like we just did now all the time, but just the way those skills are transferable. But like you said, just the mentality, of like the discipline, doing training, of showing up every day, of like, this, all three of us know this, in a 200-mile race, you go out and you get gut punched nonstop, and you're just like solving problems, like you're just trying to figure things out and keep moving. And I think that that's essentially what it means to like be building up a business too. And just, yeah. So, I mean, I'm totally on the same page about that and like just resonating with that.
Yeah,
Also just,
I mean, I would say like, if I think about you from the first time I met you or to when you came and crewed me at Bigfoot, just to the person who you were, and I step back and go, this cat has went from a 100-miler to finishing 235 to traveling around the world to having successes and failures, DNFs, wins, losses, to jumping on with Jason, to building the business. Like, you step back and there's like ton of to be proud of in life, you know, despite one-off DNFs, that you're absolutely crushing it and you are a completely different person, like times 10 in the growth you've had, because of you continuing to throw yourself into the pain cave and taking risks and doing things that are scary, like jumping on with Jason and going for, you know, a small business that's trying to be the #1 endurance, you know, race brand, or, you know, whatever your guys' goal is. Like, all of that is scary, risky stuff, but you're growing in like, anybody who's known you for the past couple of years can see that growth, and that's what I think matters, and I think is super rad.
Man, let me tell you something. So January at Coldwater 2 years ago, right? I met Aum out there, and it full transparency, was the weakest handshake I'd ever had. Couldn't look me in the eye, and I was like, man, that's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, he was much more shy.
Yeah, way more
Yeah.
shy than and
He's got a swagger now.
yeah, and so testament to throwing yourself into the fire.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get burned and sometimes you put out the fire. And it's clear that if anybody, go read that quarter-mile post that you wrote 2 years ago, dude, and it's a completely different person because you keep putting yourself out there and trying, and you get knocked down, but you keep getting back up, and it's a testament to that. And, you know, Hector's point number 3 about hiring endurance sports athletes, you know, you gotta, like, that's why I was like, I want this guy to be on the team, because look, he's training, he's trying, he may fail, but he's going to keep doing it again. And that's why, you know, the invitation went out to be like, hey, you want to be part of this ownership group? Because we're building stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Yeah, but let's figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
And
we build airplanes while we fly them, baby.
Exactly.
That's what we call it.
Exactly. But,
yeah, but man, no, I appreciate that a lot. And I think that a lot of the stuff we just talked about was kind of just stuff that people need to hear, especially about, like, just dealing with failures and moving forward, and realizing that sometimes we don't look back and appreciate how much we've grown because we keep moving the goalpost to the next thing.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads to my next question. Then I'll hand it off to you, Jason, if you have any last questions before we jump into the rapid fire. But that is, like, what advice would you have to give to somebody who is kind of trying to make the dive, the deep end, and trying to go into that unknown?
So the question was, if somebody wants to go into the deep end?
If somebody wants to, like, go after something that they're scared of, or something that they're kind of like, they're going into that, like, the what ifs of, like, but have a negative standpoint on it, like, what advice would you give them based on your experiences?
Yeah. I would say just don't do nothing. I think just doing something, whatever that is better than doing nothing, and you fail fast. So if you just don't get something right, you quickly iterate and just keep iterating until you get it right. I guess that would just be the only thing, is, like, I see a lot of people, whether it's like I don't know if I'm ready for a 50K, I don't know if I'm ready for a 50-miler, or I don't know what to do with my life, I don't know what I want to do for a career. I hear all kinds of things like that. So, like, okay, you don't know what to do for a career, go do anything. And you'll start to learn what you like and you don't like, and you can start iterating and navigating and figuring out what works for you. So I just think you just need action towards something, and then you just fine tune it. Build airplanes while you fly them. You just start figuring things out.
I'll just follow up with that. I don't have questions, but I do have a heartfelt, sincere thank you to Hector. Again, March 3rd, 2021. You are open to the idea of writing What's My Next Challenge for, a fledgling business that's literally just getting hatched and coming on our show. one of the first people on our Fireside Chat before your Cocodona attempt a couple of years ago, and then now here again. So really appreciate the love and the support that you have shown this business as we become the premier voice of the everyday athlete.
I have no doubt that that's going to happen. And, it goes back to just our community. I think it's a beautiful thing when we support one another, and you guys have supported me as well. Whether it's a nice message or having me on or me coming on, like it works both ways. And I want to see you guys crush it. And, even before this chat, we were sitting here talking business ideas and I'm sharing what I've learned, and you're telling me the great stuff you guys are doing, and there's give and take, and that's, outside of just the running. So, I'm super stoked for you guys. I love the partnership, and I can't wait to just continue to watch the growth.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
And we can't wait to, get you back on the show again sometime, because I feel like 40 minutes is never enough to chat with you, Hector. There's always, we could talk about this all day, man.
We'll do it once the feet are a little better and I'm getting primed for the Cocodona. You knocked me down twice, but I'll get up 3 times and I'll knock that thing out.
We'll do it live on set one time then.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I'm gonna jump into the rapid fire section now. And since Jason is our amazing host of Food Fight Friday, I feel like it makes sense for him to do the rapid fire.
Let's go.
Good. And it's mostly because I'm passionate about food, right. So that's why I get
I mean, his name starts with cook, so.
Yeah.
Oreos, are you going OG style, or are you a double stuff guy?
Ooh, Oreos is my favorite. I'm going double stuff.
Oh, so let me ask you this. If Oreos are your favorite, what's your take on the Oreo thins? Is it really just a cracker pretending to be a cookie?
Yeah, it's got to be the Oreo stuff.
Yeah.
And preferably with ice cream.
Have you seen the cakes?
What's that?
Have you seen the new Oreos Cakester thing?
No.
Man, I love Oreos, but it's really nothing more than a ding-dong pretending to be an Oreo.
Wow. Is it good, though?
I'm not going to eat it. I'm an old Oreo guy.
We got to try one. I got to check that out.
Licorice. Do you like licorice? Are you a licorice guy?
No, not really. I've had it because sometimes races will have it, and I just really need to switch up something. But I don't think I've ever went and bought licorice.
All right, we'll skip that question. Candy corn. Is it a real candy, or is it just earwax covered in sugar?
Earwax covered in sugar.
Yes. Peeps. Are Peeps a real candy, or is it just dust covered in glitter?
Is what?
Peeps.
I would say dust covered in glitter.
Yes. Crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
Crunchy.
Yes. Is a hot dog a sandwich or a taco?
That's hilarious. We had a work icebreaker that they asked that, and just this was last week. I would say it's a sandwich.
Yes, we're killing it here. Red velvet cake, is red velvet a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake covered in red food dye?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm a fan of red velvet, so I'm gonna say it's a real thing. It's not a chocolate dye or whatever you just said.
Is that your favorite cake, or do you have a different?
No,
favorite
I would say
cake?
that's probably my favorite cake. It's
all right.
Really good.
Do you like pie?
No.
No pie.
No pie.
So then, for you, the guy who's out there 10 miles a day and now 2 to 3 miles a day as you build, what's your go-to recovery food?
And I don't care.
Yeah, nah, dude.
I would say my favorite thing, maybe it's not my go-to recovery. Go-to recovery would be I don't know, steak or salmon or something like that. But if I'm just smashed 20 miles and I'm dying, in San Diego, we have something called California burritos. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have those. Yeah, you throw some French fries in the burrito with the steak and the cheese and the sour cream. It's the best.
Dude. So you don't even have to run 20 miles. Go for a walk and eat one of those.
Well, you need to run 20 miles to burn off the 20,000 calories that burrito has.
California burrito and the Doritos, a Mexican Coke.
Yeah, exactly. What's your favorite Doritos then?
Oh, I'm between tamarind and pineapple.
There you go.
Hector, same?
Yeah, probably.
It's the only time Aum and I will agree when the word pineapple comes into conversation. Because a piña jarritos is the best by far, hands down.
Yeah.
You mentioned
That's awesome.
ice cream. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream. All day long.
And then your favorite candy bar? This is the last of the rapid fire questions.
All day long, Snickers.
Snickers?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Hector, again, thank you very much. I'll let you wrap it up. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the time, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. I appreciate having you on the show, and I just love that we continue to have this connection. Because like I said, like if it wasn't for this business and you writing that story, I wouldn't have connected with you. I wrote the story for the business. Jason will just swear that marketing works, which
yeah.
But it's the reason that it's a big part of the reason why I'm here today. And the three of us have this amazing special connection. And it's also a big reason why I'm doing 200s, man. Like, so I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too. And I want to give you, man, a ton of credit for everything you're doing to give back. I can't think of anybody who's competing with you in the effort that you're making for the causes that are important to you. And I think you deserve a lot of credit. And, I just encourage you to keep going with that. We can maybe talk offline to see how I can better support. Maybe we can, do a hoodie where we're giving profits over to the kids or something. So we can chat offline about that. But I do want to encourage you to keep going with that. And then we can figure out some kind of thing maybe we can collab on to get some awareness, some funds or resources or something over to what you're doing. So big kudos to you. I think that's really rad to use your platform for something like that. So I want to encourage you guys to keep going. And then obviously all the business stuff, you guys know, like I'm a sucker for it. So keep going. If I can support in any way, I'm always here. And thank you guys tremendously.
Appreciate it.
Learning from the best.
We'll see you guys. Thanks.
All right. See you, fellas.